Well, here he is. One of the great speeches. Tony Abbott likened it to one of the best speeches on race relations since Martin Luther King Jr. He's here in the studio with us. Warren Mundine. Warren, you've had a big week.
Oh, massively.
Last time you were here in the studio, you were here a few weeks ago with us. Since then, you made a cracker of a speech at the National Press Club. They stuck you in the broom cupboard like they did with Jacinta. They gave Noel the big ballroom with all the things, but you absolutely nailed it. And what impressed me most of all was you offer the vision for Indigenous Australia. You had 4 points, which we've asked the Yes campaign for 9 months. What will the Voice actually do for Indigenous Australians? They can't tell us anything. Oh, you get a drag queen. Sure, you get a drag queen, but that's it. You came up with 4 key things to help Indigenous Australia. Tell us about it.
Well, because this is, Australians have this is their most important, one of the most important decisions they have to make about changing our constitution. And so everyone was sitting there, all the yes people were saying, it's the same if you vote no. Well, no, we've been banging on about this for ages. The first one, of course, is accountability. We spend billions of dollars every year on Indigenous affairs and we're not meeting our targets. Like if someone is sitting in my office and spending money, wish it was billions, spending money, it was, I'd have to have a cup of tea with him. I'll have to have a chat with her. Yeah, exactly. That's what will have to happen. Why are we putting up with billions of dollars of taxpayers' money, but more importantly, that people are still struggling and suffering in this country, and they're not meeting their targets. The people who get the money
gone. Yep.
Yeah, that's number one. So I'm glad we've got Senator Karen Little and Senator Jacinta Price in the Parliament because they're kept pumping this every day. It's about time some of those crossbenchers started coming on board because this is taxpayers' money. People are suffering in these communities and we need to know the answers where the money's being spent. The second one, of course, and it's not rocket science, is education. I don't know any group of people in the history of humanity who ever got out of poverty without education. It's the key to opening the door to a better life. We need to get the state and territory governments, because they're in charge of this, to actually do their job.
You made the best insight I've heard for such a long time when you said in that speech that Indigenous Australians who are educated, the kids who come out through school and rest, do every bit as well as every non-Indigenous kid. Now, that blew me away. Yes, of course it's going to happen, but you pointed it out. Once those kids are educated, their grades, their opportunities, Rita was talking earlier about equality of opportunity, they come out raring to go.
Well, that came out of the Forest Review, about parity, and the statistics were quite clear, and the statistics are still clear today, that if you get Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders educated at the same level as every other Australian, there's no parity. There's no difference. There's parity, but there's no gap. Nothing. They're able to buy houses. They're able to get cars. They go on holidays and have jobs.
The gap is closed.
So the gap is closed. So even if we just did that one thing, within a very short period of time, we'd solve a lot of issues.
But we've got so many activists hooked on this notion of intergenerational trauma and perpetual victimhood. When Senator Price said intergenerational trauma is not something that she just accepts, they had a mass meltdown. The media attacked her, the activists attacked her. But there does seem to be those who are invested in this perpetual victimhood.
Look, what are we telling kids? No matter who you are, you look at the Jewish people who come out of the Second World War, the Holocaust, you had a whole wide range of other things that happened. Whether it's true or not, you have intergenerational trauma, to me is not the important part. The important part is how you overcome this and move forward. Yeah. Otherwise, you just end up in a fetal position laying in a corner.
James?
So, Warren, that's the big future, but the immediate future is 13 days from now. It's the referendum. What do you think is going to happen on the day? What happens on the day with the No campaign? Because we know Yes has a large number of people who are going to be going out there blanketing the polling stations and all of that sort of thing. And we also know that there's still a lot of Australians who haven't fully dialed in on the debate, even though the polls suggest that the thing, is in general going down. What is the No campaign campaign planning for the day about getting people out there to represent their side? Because so far it's a lot of silent no's, but you've got to make sure that they come out and actually write no.
Yeah, we need. Look, we know the Yes campaign's got all the corporates, all the churches, and all these other groups backing them. We just got ordinary Australians. That's where all our money comes from, most of our money. It's just ordinary Australians chucking in $1 or 50 cents or $50 and that. What we need is, and this is the message out there, is that we need people to turn up on the day, because when we do this, we're a grassroots movement against the elites, and we know the people are out there and they support us. And that I get phone calls every day of the week from rugby league players, AFL players, other people saying we don't support what our league's saying, but we're too scared. We're too scared to say it. And I said, well, don't worry about it. It's a secret ballot, and as my mother said to my father once when he was complaining about he was a Labor supporter, was, I bet you voted for the coalition, and she said, you'll never know. Rita, we do need those volunteers, so that's what we're calling for.
You certainly need the volunteers, but you also need people to actually turn up and vote, because a lot of people don't realise this is compulsory. This is like a general election. If you don't turn up and vote, you can be fined. Are you worried about that at all? Because some people might be looking at the polls saying this thing's defeated. I can't be stuffed on a Saturday showing up and voting. Well,
it's most important that you vote. We don't want to get to the situation where we actually lose this election by a referendum, by just a few votes because people didn't turn up. Yeah. We want all those people who are saying no to turn up. And we want the people who are, and we're a cross-section. We got Labor people into the polls are telling us are voting no. We've got everyone else voting no. So we want you to turn up on the day and just put in that box, no.
And Warren, Rita was discussing earlier, migrant communities. I mentioned Noel Pearson's comments, which I'm not going to ask you to comment on, but I thought were absolutely reprehensible.
Yeah, I got an answer for that.
Yes, tell us.
Well, when he talks about, he's saying that, migrants are you, are you honorary settlers and you're of the wrong colour and that. Well, I got the answer for Noel. The Noel is they're Australians. And we're proud of them being Australians. And they're proud to be Australians. And we are proud of them that coming to Australia, people like yourself, Rita, coming to Australia and making this place home. And you have all the same rights as every other Australian. This is division. You've got to pick a side. No, there's only one side, Australia.
And it was Bob, you were a Labor Party president, it was Bob Hawke who famously said that there should be no privilege from how long you've lived here, from your descent. There should be no hierarchy. Once you're an Australian, once you've had that Lamington and you've got your citizenship, that's it, we're all equal. The Voice says, no, it's a whole set of new rules now. You're not equal in the Constitution because you weren't here first, correct?
That's correct. Look, this is the whole thing. They're all about division and dividing us and up. And that was about Noel's speech and that. We're about unity. We love all the over 26 million people who live in this country. And we have the freedoms and liberties that other countries really want. Even though free speech may be under attack, but we still got it for the moment. We're going to fight it in the way. But and this is what we love about this country: multicultural, multiracial and ethnic, multi-faith. We even got atheists. We've got everyone, every colour of the world, sitting in this country, and we get on quite well. We may have a punch-up now and again, but we're not like what's happened in France or what happened in the United States. No riots, no burning down towns and buildings. We get on pretty good. And you go to the rugby league or the AFL and you see Muslims with a meat pie and a drink, and you see all the other Australians and that there as well. And so, look, we're the greatest country in the world for what we've achieved here.
Warren Mundine, you're doing such a sensational job. I did see a little note was popped into your letterbox saying, Warren, what a brave man you are and what a great job you're doing supporting the No. I think a lot of Australians out there are kind of spooked by the pure strength of the yes thing from every media, every corporation. So you and Jacinta are the Davids there against the Goliath of the elites. You're doing a sensational job, and fingers crossed you win, because you certainly deserve to, and so many Australians are
Those
with you.
people on the other side are trapped in the past. They're talking about grievances 100 years, 200 years ago, and that. Since 1967 referendum, we're all treated equal. There's no discriminatory laws in this country, and we're about the now and the future, about how we can make this country better. And everyone on this journey to make Australia the better self.
Warren Mundine, thanks so much for coming.